Let's build Airbnb's hot air balloon icon, starting with the balloon itself. Hey everyone, I'm Riley and welcome back to my UX lab. Things look a little bit different today because I'm filming from Delft in the Netherlands. This is step 6 in my series of rebuilding Airbnb in Figma, and today we're focusing and designing on the balloon portion of Airbnb's hot air balloon icon. We'll focus on shapes, fills, and shadows today to nail the look for the balloon, and then in step 7 we'll finish the basket to complete the icon. So let's dive in.
Okay, starting out we need to make a polygon. So we're going to come here and select polygon. We'll select into the screen. We need to change the count from 3 to 10. So we'll do that here and hit enter. Now we need to change the dimensions to 30 by 29. And then we'll round all of the corners to 40. Zoomed in so we can see a little bit better, we'll double click the shape to bring up the vector editing tool, and we need to select the bottom left point and we'll move that in 1, and then we'll select the bottom right and do the same, moving that in 1 as well. While still in the vector editing mode and our move tool still selected, we'll hover between the most bottom point and the bottom left point. That creates this center point between them. We'll select that and hold shift. We'll drag it down even with the most bottom point and then out 1 full pixel, and we'll do the same thing on the opposite side, but we'll move it out to the right this time. From here, we need to select the bottom 3 points. If you hold shift while selecting them, it will select all 3, and we need to change the corner radius back to 0. We can now double click out of the shape and we'll change the fill color. We're actually changing it to a radial gradient with 2 stops. This first stop is going to be at 13%, and the color hex code is F9A756 at 100%. And then this next stop is 100% with the code E36617, also at 100%, and you can hit enter. With the base of the hot air balloon done, we can now add the stripes that go on the balloon. So we'll start with a polygon again. We'll select into the screen and we'll change the dimensions to a 12 by 28, and we'll change the count to 9. We'll be moving this polygon temporarily into place since we're going to be moving each point into their proper spot in just a bit, but we'll center it up with the balloon for now because we need this top point to be 2.5 pixels away from the center. So if you double click and go into vector editing mode, it will let us move that a little bit more freely. So there's 1, 2, and a half right there. Looking at our polygon, you can see we kind of have 4 sets of points that are across from each other within the shape. That works great because each of these sets will be equal heights from top to bottom with each other. So for this first set of points, it needs to be 9 pixels from this very top point. If we count from the line, it's currently 1, 2, 3-ish away. If we select this point and start dragging it down, we can hold shift, it will keep it in line with us. So if this is 3, we'll go 6 from there. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 right there. And we can zoom out. We'll grab this other point from the set and we can just drag it down and it will line up with that first one we moved. For our second set of points, they need to be 6.5 pixels from the first set. So we'll select this one, and if we zoom in, you can see it's currently 1, 2.5 away. So we'll start moving that. That's 3, holding shift so it stays in line. 4, 5, 6.5. And then we can zoom out, grab that other point from the set, and then holding shift and drag it down to match. Our third set of points needs to be 8.5 pixels away from the second set of points. So if we zoom in, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this line makes 5.5 pixels away. So we only need to drag it down 3 more lines. So select it, start pulling, holding shift, that's 1, 2, 3, and then we can go to the other side, start pulling down, holding shift, and align it with the other one. Our very bottom set of points need to be pulled down flush with the bottom of the balloon. This left one will be right on the inside of the corner here, and then this right one is going to be 1.5 pixels from the center point of the balloon. So if this line right here is the center point, we can pull that down and then move it over 1.5. So I know at this point it looks nothing like what I showed you in the beginning, but it's definitely more of a trust the process rather than instant gratification. So just stay with me and we'll get started with the next steps. From here, we need to add an inside stroke to this polygon. So to do so, we'll come to the effects, we'll hit plus, we'll change it to a 0.5 here, since it's already preloaded on inside, and then we'll change the fill color to BC704D and hit enter. We can now adjust this polygon how we want it, so we'll double click for the vector editing mode. We'll take the top left point from the first set and we'll move it over. We want it to stay aligned with this other point in the set, but if you look, we need to have it right in the center of these two lines because that's 1 full pixel away from the edge. And then from the second set, we can pull the left one to match the one above it. And then from the third set, the one on the left, we just need to pull it out 1/2 pixel. From here, we need to move this point and this point to the left, and they need to be 8.5 pixels away from these 2 points. I went ahead and counted, and these two are 14 pixels away from each other. So we just need to move this one 5.5 pixels to the left. So doing so, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5, and then we can just adjust this one to match since these two align. The last point we need to move is the one that's sticking out on the right here. It needs to be 5.5 pixels away from this point, and at this line right here, it's 11. So if we start there and go 5.5 to the left, it will put us right where we need to be. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. Okay, hopefully you can see it starting to take shape. What we need to do now is use the curve tool, and we'll select each point except for the very top and the very bottom 2 points. So we'll go around and we'll select each one, rounding out those lines just a little bit until they are all selected. Really quick before moving to the fill color of the stripe, I said at the beginning that this top point should be 2.5 pixels away from the center of the balloon. This is a personal preference. You don't have to move it if you like where it's at, but instead of doing 2.5, I'm moving it to the 2. All right, with that top point now adjusted, we can move on to the fill color for this stripe. We'll come here to the fill section and we'll change it to a radial gradient. We want it to be 2 stops, and this first one is going to be 18% with a fill color of ED536B at 100%. The second stop will be 100% and the fill color of 640B1A also at 100%. And then we can grab this point right here and just drag it up 1 pixel. The last thing we need to do for the stripes on the balloon is duplicate this stripe and move it into place. So Command C and V or Control C and V if you're on Windows. We'll duplicate that right over the original one we made. We'll use this horizontal flip button, and then using my arrow on the keyboard to the right, we'll move it into place. If you go over it, that's too far, so just hit to the left once and you should be good. The last step for this balloon is to drag and select everything we made. Use Control or Command G, and it will group everything together. So now when you move it and select it, it moves as one rather than individual pieces.
So that's it for the balloon portion of Airbnb's hot air balloon icon. If you liked this video and found it helpful, leave a like, drop a comment to let me know how your rebuild is going, and I'll see you in step 7. Bye.